Hey, how's it going, guys? Sorry, no fancy intro today. I kind of wanted to get straight into video since this isn't a video that I've done in quite some time, a couple months at least. But today I wanted to bring to you a deck profile for Altergeist, seeing as how Altergeist got a boost kind of recently. They got a boost in June, and that's recently enough for me. So what I wanted to do with this deck profile today is I wanted to bring you guys two alternative versions, one budget version that you can run, and one for those who actually will have the more pricier items in the list. And it's a version that all you gotta do is switch some cards out or just throw some cards in. It doesn't really deviate any from the main list that I'm showing you today. And yeah, let's get into it. So getting into the main deck, we're gonna start out with our Altergeist monsters. I run 1, 2, 3 copies of Marionetter. This is pretty standard. Most of the ratios that I'm playing for Altergeist are pretty standard, and you're going to see that in most Altergeist deck. I think the only deck where I haven't seen these ratios was the one dude who ran a Torrential Tribute version, and he didn't run 3, he ran 2 Marionetter, so that's something to consider. But personally, I prefer the 3 Marionetter. It's your combo starter. If you want to run Altergeist Haunted Rock, Marionetter gets you straight to that, so that way you can put 2 monsters out on board to get to something like Hextia, and maybe if you have Meluseek in hand, get to that, so you can get your Multifaker as soon as possible. So 3 Marionetter, 1, 2, 3 Multifaker. I feel like that's a given. Like if you're playing Altergeist, you gotta have 3 Multifaker. It's just such a good card. And then 1, 2, 3 Altergeist Meluseek. Meluseek is good removal because you can attack direct and then send a card on field to the graveyard, and as well as it allows you to get to your Multifaker just by linking it off into whatever suits your needs for the time. And then 1, 2 Silk and 1 Conquery. Conquery just because it'll negate attacks, and then on top of that, if you run out of Silk, you can switch some Conquery instead to negate a card effect, or if you go into something like Prime Banshee, then you have Conquery as a form of negation. And then 2 Silk just because floating is nice, and if you draw the 1 Silk, you want to make sure that you have a second one in deck, just so that way you're going to be able to access it. Then for a tech that I run 1, 2, 3 copies of Parrellel eXceed. If you're going to run Parrellel eXceed, you might as well run it 3. You could experiment with 2, preferably though. If I draw 2 of them, I'd rather not have those, in my hand, because then I can't use any of them. So 3 Parrellel eXceed cards you're going to make with this. You're going to make like Utopia Double. You're going to make Trap Tricks for Flasia. Basically a bunch of different rank 4s that are going to be able to slow your opponent down, such as like Tornado Dragon or Abyss Dweller. Then for hand traps, I run 1, 2 copies of Ash, 2 copies of Ailer, and 2 copies of DD Crow. So for my thought process in selecting these, I tried to run 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, no Crow. I tried to run 3 of each, but to be honest, I think I like this ratio the most, just because if I try to run 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, I don't have that graveyard protection. If I try to run 3 of each, it makes the deck a little bricky. Say a little, I mean a lot. So I think this is the perfect ratio for me. The only things that I think I see changing is Crow or Veiler might eventually get swapped out with Ghost Ogre once the Numeron cards come out, if the Numeron cards aren't already out while you're watching this, just because it gets rid of Utopic Exile pretty easily. So yep, that's going to be it for the monster lineup. And then for the spells, I run 1, 2 copies of Pot of Duality, and 1 Double or Nothing. So the Double or Nothing is for the Utopia combo. If you're going second, then you're going to be able to just OTK your opponent and then go off from there if you're not actually able to OTK and just do a decent bit of damage. Plus you have Meluseek to kind of coincide with that. Then Duality, just to dig through your deck. If you do, so this is where the, being able to switch out cards if you have the more pricier cards. So if you have Extravagance, just throw your 3 Extravagance in here. Just throw them in. It really doesn't, you don't really have to take anything out. If you do want to take something out, I would recommend taking out 1 or both copies of Pot of Duality, since it does kind of conflict with your Parrellel eXceed. So yep, and then for trap cards, I run 1, 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. That's going to be 3. I just got to get the 3rd copy, so throw in a proxy there. But 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. I feel like that's kind of a staple in the deck. You can play without Imperm, so if you're on a budget, you don't have to have Imperm. But if you have Imperm, or you know you can get Imperm, definitely do it. It's worth the investment, especially for going second, because then you can activate that on your opponent's turn and then activate your Altergeist Multi-Faker right after you activate your Impermanence. And then I run 1, 2, 3 copies of Solemn Strike. I run that over Judgment just because Judgment kind of kills your life points. You need those. However, I do side Judgment, just for the record, because you do want to have that available in case you go up against something like a mirror match or something like Eldritch or another spell and trap heavy deck. Plus, you know, Lightning Strike and Evenly Earthing. Then I run 1, 2, 3 copies of Compulsory Evacuation Device. It's removal that I really like for extra deck monsters. Just gets them off the field, and then, you know, they don't go back to hand. And then for normal summons, that's the cheesiest thing I use it for, is normal summons, because people will normal summon something, and I'll send it right back. If you get rid of their normal summon, normally they're not actually going to be able to make any further plays. They're just going to kind of sit there because they need that second monster on board to do anything. Then I run 1, 2, 3 copies of Lost to the Wind. I like this way better than Titanocider because I'm able to recycle it more, and it works for all special summon monsters. On top of that too, it does half the attack, which I don't always need the attack to go to 0. Plus, Lost Wind is a card that most of the time people don't expect, and they don't really think about Lost Wind when they should be. So a lot of the cases, Lost Wind will be in the graveyard, and they don't think, gosh, if that gets reset, I'm going to be screwed next turn. So I'm able to just reset it and then use it the next turn and go for game. Or they'll think too much of it, and they'll be like, oh, gotta play around Lost Wind, gotta play around Lost Wind, and not really think of anything else that's on the board. Then I play 1, 2, 3 copies of Spoof. Spoof allows you to cycle through all your Altergeist cards and monsters. If you play Altergeist, it's like playing Multi-Faker. You want to run 3 Multi-Faker, you want to run 3 Spoof. Then I would run 1, 2 copies of Protocol and 1 copy of Altergeist Manifestation. I actually used to run 2 Manifestation, but I think due to the card count, I've put it down to 1. Mostly because 1 should be fine so long as you know how to manage your resources. However, if you do have a second one and you know don't have other traps, then I think 2 will be fine. Protocol, just because having 1 Protocol on board is crazy since your opponent's not able to respond to anything you do. And then having 2 Protocols just icing on the cake, because if you need to negate a monster effect, you can just get rid of the second Protocol. And if they manage to get rid of the first one, well, then you got the second one. Then for the last card in the main deck, I run 1 Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute's an insane card. I think running it at 3, from what I've tried, is a bit too much. But 1, for me, has personally been that sweet spot. If you want to run 2, I would run 2. I wouldn't run 3 unless you're actually going for the Torrential Tribute build. That one player who, I think it was like an online PPG that he won, running 3 Torrential. But yeah, so I run 1. If you have evenly matched, feel free to run that. I would run it at 2, personally. You could run it at 3. Nobody really expects the evenly. But I feel like if you try to run it at 3 and then you pull 2, you know, you're not really going to get that off compared to other cards. You could also side deck evenly matched. But I think I have a bit, don't necessarily want to say better, but cards that I prefer to have in my side deck over that. So that's going to be it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. I start off with the Link 1s. I run 2 Link Karibo, 1 Relinquished Anima. Honestly, you could swap out 1 of the Link Karibos for an Almirage, but you at least want 1 of those and 2 of these, or 1 Link Karibo, 1 Almirage, and 1 Anima. Anima's nice just for monster snatching, and you can definitely close games with Anima if your opponent slips up. And then, you know, Link Karibo is just more cannon fodder. And then for the Link 2s, I run 1, 2, 3 copies of Altergeist Hextia. It's one of those recurring 3-ofs that you run, especially if you want to run Extravagance. I think 3 is definitely required, and you can definitely go through 3 in a match. I have had it happen before, though generally I normally just use 2 for combos. And then for the Link 3s, 1 Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, 1 Prime Banshee, and then, oh, well, I guess that's a link too, huh? And then 1 Celine. So as far as the Nightmare goes for Phoenix and Unicorn, those are replaceable. Those are kind of your slots that you can feel free to trade things out. Personally, if it were me, if you have access code talker that you want to run in here, or I would say Avermax, but not that. But if you have like access code talker and link cross, those are definitely the cards you're going to want to take out for those. Prime Banshee is a link 3 that personally I find very versatile. It's mainly good just to add icing to the cake, just to make your board a little more unbreakable, just a little bit. Again, you can get that extra negate in with Conqueree, and then you can tag things out. So like, let's say you have an empty hex here on board, and get rid of that and add a multi-fake or whatever else you need to hand. And then Celine, just because being able to special summon out of the grave and go for whatever other plays that you want to make, even if it is like a Hextia, because then you can get the Hextia Surge and bring it back on field. Same thing with Milliseek and other cards. So definitely a one of in this deck. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then the only link 4 that I run is Boral Sword. It's a game closer. Again, and the only reason that I run 1 is because I don't have access code talker. But I mean, I'd still run Boral Sword anyways. Run Boral Sword and access code talker together. Then for the spice of the extra deck, the eXceed monsters. So I run 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Abyss Dweller, and then the Utopia double package, which is Utopia double and Utopia. So if you are running Extravagance, what I would do is I would have Dweller and Tornado Dragon in your side deck and run 1 more copy of double and 1 more copy of Utopia, especially if you are going for the double or nothing package, because you want to be able to make sure that you can get to that, or else double or nothing is going to be nothing but a dead card. So, and then Dweller and Tornado Dragon can just go out and close games. So Tornado Dragon going against other Spell and Trap decks will just GG Abyss Dweller. So many graveyard heavy decks, like, dude, that will smash Eldritch into the ground with 0 problems. So yep, that is going to be it for my extra deck. I'm gonna quick move on to side deck. Okay, so for my side deck, I run 1, 2, 3 copies of the Winged Dragon of Raw Spear Mode. So this is what I was talking about when I was referring to evenly matched. This is a card that I prefer simply because it can't be negated. 3 negate boards or a bunch of boards like that out there that you can just sphere mode and then you're good to go. Set all your traps, and then just use multi-fake in the next turn, and then they're out of resources. So that's a personal choice. Again, you could run evenly matched. I know once Inferno comes out, you can run 3 Super Poly and Draco Knight. Was it Draco Akis? Dragon Knight Draco Akis, I want to say it is, which uses a Synchro and a Warrior monster. You could also run Kaijus, especially with Zexal on the horizon. So, and then this is more of, you know, format-based card, but I run 1, 2, 3 Spooky Dogwood. That's because the FDK is going around right now and it's still out there, so that just kind of deals with that. If you drop Dogwood, they can't FDK you. They can keep going, but they're not actually going to have enough points to FDK you, because if I'm pretty sure it's exact life points or it's only 1,000 over. Then I run 1, 2, 3 copies of Inspector Border, mostly because that card is absolutely insane and your opponent's not able to do anything about it. So let's say you're going up against a Synchro Spam and they hit their normal summon effect to send. That's their only effect for the turn, because by the time they get to Needle Fiber, they could use Needle Fiber's effect since it's a Link monster, especially summon something else out. But then they're not going to actually be able to, like, Synchro Summon or hit to their Link Cross. It just stops a lot of combo decks, plus it's 2,000, which is pretty beefy. So that's why I run it. And then I run 1 Imperial Order, 2 Heavy Storm Duster. Heavy Storm Duster is more insurance against Spell and Trap decks, and then Imperial Order will stop Lightning Storm. And any decks that like to use a lot of spells. Mostly Lightning Storm though, because you definitely don't want to get hit by that card, and the 700 life points is 100% worth it. And then 1, 2, 3 copies of Judgment, because that's standard. Your negate summons, spell and traps, stops evenly matched, and Lightning Storm, so long as you have it set. So yeah. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoy and hopefully got some use out of this. Some more side deck cards that I would recommend throwing in there real quick would be cards like Lightning Storm. And again, if you have evenly matched and you want to mess around with things, feel free. And Ghost Ogre is definitely going to be good soon, if not right now, depending on when you're watching this video. So, but yeah, that's going to be it. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and peace.